Hello, friends. Today we leave behind the noise of the world, not in fear, not in sorrow, but with a calm curiosity. Tonight, your breath slows, the body rests, and somewhere, deeper than sleep, you begin to cross into a place older than memory, where the souls of ancient Egypt once walked. This is not just the story of what happened after death. This is the truth the ancients whispered in candlelight, that dying was only the first step, and what came next was vast, sacred, and sometimes terrifying. Now, turn off the light and let your soul drift with the magical night sky. You do not remember the moment you died. It was not sharp. It was not loud. It simply happened, like falling asleep mid-thought. Your chest had risen one final time, exhaled like wind leaving warm sand, and then it had stopped. That's all. Quiet. Stillness. You had thought that would be the end, but it is not. There is a place beyond the closing of the eyes. Not a blankness, not a void, but something formed from the breath of gods, shaped by myth, memory, and moral law. It does not welcome everyone, and it does not forgive easily. You float. At first, light, weightless, suspended in a golden hush, as if wrapped in linen that has soaked in frankincense and centuries. Your senses drift. There is no pain, but there is not yet peace either. There is a waiting, and then a voice. Not a voice like your own, but one that echoes softly from the back of your mind. It calls not your name, but your true name, the one only the gods would know. You feel it, a stirring, something ancient awakening inside your chest, like a temple door creaking open for the first time in millennia. Suddenly, you are standing, though you do not remember standing up. All around you is darkness, but not the cold kind. This darkness feels warm, like stone after the sun has left it, and faintly, you smell something resin, ash, lotus. The air is thicker now, humming with quiet rules. You try to move, but your body feels strange as if it has been rewritten. You reach for your mouth, but your lips are sealed, tight as the tomb. Panic flutters. Then you hear something scraping gentle, deliberate, and a rustle of linen. From the dark steps, a priest, or perhaps many. You cannot count them, but they move in rhythm, voices low. One holds a bronze blade that glows faintly blue. Another holds a bundle of reed brushes dipped in sacred oil. They do not look at you. They chant, and with great care, the priest touches your lips with the blade. The opening of the mouth. This, you remember, dimly. You had heard the story once, in the temple courtyard, when you were small. A story told in the heat of the day about how the dead could only speak in the afterlife if this ritual was done. How the gods gave speech back to the silent so they could defend themselves beyond the grave. The brush strokes your lips, then your ears, then your eyes. You can feel again. The oil tingles like memory returning. Suddenly, you are aware not just of the room, not just of the priests, but of everything. A vastness inside you, a river of symbols, old as the first star. You are no longer just a person who died. You are a traveler, a soul with a name, a record, and a destination. And the journey is beginning. The priests step back. The light shifts. The floor beneath you ripples like water, and before you, where there was once only shadow, a corridor appears long, narrow, lined with stone that breathes and whispers. Symbols drift along its walls, shifting as you look at them. Some you know, some you feel, some seem to know you better than you know yourself. You take a breath, though you no longer need to, and step forward. The silence swells. You are inside the DUAT now, the world of the afterlife, the underworld that is not under, but folded beside the living world like a second skin. It is not a place of rest. It is a place of proving. This is where the soul is tested, not with swords, not with flame, but with truth, and you are not alone. There are eyes watching, carved into the stone, painted in ochre and lapis, set into statues that don't move, but also don't not move. Their gaze is soft, but full. They weigh you already, before you even know what you must answer for. So, you remember something now, a saying, one the temple scribes used to whisper when they thought no one was listening. Death is easy. The hard part comes after. Now, the corridor opens into a chamber, tall, vast, echoing. A stone table sits in the center, and behind it, shadows. But not just shadows, figures. Something ancient, waiting. You are not afraid. Not yet. But you are no longer calm, either. This place is not made for comfort. It is made for clarity. And if the myths are true, you will need more than a good heart to pass through. You will need truth. You will need memory. And you will need to speak soon. But for now, silence. The kind of silence that comes before judgment. The kind that settles like dust in a tomb. Still, sacred, unblinking. The chamber doesn't echo with your footsteps. It absorbs them like sand. As you step forward, you sense the ritual has only just begun. The air itself seems to watch you, thick with the breath of 1,000 prayers spoken and forgotten. This is not the land of the dead, not yet. It is the narrow place between endings and what must come next, the passage where silence must be broken. You reach the stone table, and though you don't remember choosing to kneel, your knees press against the ground, as if drawn by something older than will. Across from you, a figure in linen raises a hand. His face is veiled in white. His scent is sacred smoke and dried salt. He does not speak, not yet, but the others beside him begin to move. One steps forward with a jar. The lid is sealed with wax and twine. Another carries an oblong tool wrapped in cloth. The third holds a long reed wand, its end dipped in a dark red resin, and then the chanting begins. It is not loud. It is not even melodic. It's something deeper, closer to humming, like stone warming beneath the sun. The language is ancient, even by ancient Egyptian standards. Not something taught, something passed on in breath and touch and timing. Something that opens the mouth of the soul so it may speak its truth when it matters most. You feel their fingers on your face, light as moth wings. The wand touches your lips. You feel the pressure, not painful, not gentle, the precise weight of memory being unlocked. Then your nostrils, your eyelids, your ears, they touch the hollow at your throat. You remember stories that the opening of the mouth ritual was performed not just on statues of gods, but on the dead before burial, so that their senses would work again in the afterlife. But you had not known it would be like this. Not so tender, not so complete. The wax seal is broken. The jar opens. A smell wafts out honey, cedarwood, something metallic. You feel the breath you no longer need catch in your chest. You are being made whole again, but not like before, like something sharper. When they touch your eyes with the resin, the world changes. You see not only the room, but behind it, shapes behind the walls, figures crouched in corners of reality, watching. You see the scarab crawling across the ceiling in a pattern you suddenly understand as divine. You see your own life, flickering behind your eyelids, moments half remembered, quiet betrayals, unspoken kindnesses, and the long gray thread of time that wove you here, and then comes the blade. It is not for cutting, it is for touching, for remembering, for truth. The priest raises it to your mouth and touches each lip 3 times. Left, right, center. He does not flinch. Neither do you. The words you must speak later in the judgment halls, before the gods, before your own soul, they cannot be formed unless this blade has brushed your tongue. You do not speak yet, but something inside you stirs, a language waking up, one you were born knowing and forgot the moment you were taught another. The ritual ends without fanfare. There is no applause, no bright light, just stillness. The priests step back, the veiled one nods, and the chamber begins to dissolve. Not crumble, dissolve, like smoke turning back into breath. The table vanishes, the torches flicker out, and once again you are standing alone. Only you're not. Something walks with you now. Not a presence, not a ghost, but your voice, returned, yourself, remade. You test it. You whisper something, your name, perhaps, and the sound feels strange, like hearing a melody you forgot you loved. But now comes the first challenge. For while the ritual has opened your senses, it has also awakened the DUAT, and it is not a still place. You feel the air shift, you feel stone rearranging around you, and ahead the corridor begins again, longer this time, lined with statues that wear your face. They do not blink, they do not breathe, but they are watching, and they are listening, because in the afterlife, the truth is not something you think, it is something you say. One wrong word, and the DUAT may close around you like a tomb. And yet you do not feel fear, not quite. You feel readiness. You take a breath that isn't needed. You step forward, and somewhere behind you, a priest snuffs out a candle because your passage has begun. The corridor gives way not to a gate or a hall, but to something quieter, a space that seems to unroll beneath your feet, like parchment warmed by breath. You do not remember stepping outside, but suddenly the walls are gone. Overhead, there is no sky, only a sweeping hush that glows with the color of faded gold and midnight. The air tastes like fire, long extinguished. The ground below you is not sand, not stone, but something between warm, murmuring, and alive with symbols that bloom beneath your footsteps, vanishing the moment you lift your heel. You walk without sound, without shadow, with only a subtle weight in your chest, like someone remembering your name softly from far away. This is the DUAT, but it is not what you were told. It is not punishment, nor paradise. It is not a throne room or a dungeon. It is knowing, not forced upon you, not demanded, just revealed, slowly, patiently, as if the land itself has no interest in your fear, only in your truth. You move forward, and then you begin to notice the figures. They stand quietly at the edges of the path, carved from something pale and smooth. They do not move, but they are not still either. Their presence hums faintly in your ribs. You pause before the first. Its face is familiar, not exactly yours, but close enough to feel as if it might blink if you look away. Its mouth is soft, calm, almost tender. The air around it feels warm, like the kind of warmth that comes from holding back anger, not because you could not speak, but because you chose not to. Not everything must be answered, it seems to say. You turn to the next. This one holds its gaze low, the corners of its eyes heavy with something unspoken. A slow ache rises in you as you stand there, not sorrow exactly, but the quiet kind of remorse that doesn't shout, the kind you've carried in silence, telling no one, a memory without words, only weight. The figure holds it for you, gently, without blame. Another stands farther off, its mouth slightly parted, as if caught in mid-sentence. The kind of moment that changed everything, not because you raised your voice, but because, just once, you said the thing that could not be taken back. The truth you spoke that made the room go still. You do not count the statues. You simply move between them, each one pulling something up from inside you, a breath you held too long, a smile you gave too late, the person you could have become if you had dared just a little more. They do not accuse you. They do not mock. They only remain, their presence echoing with quiet recognition, not haunting, not separate, not other. Each one is a doorway. Each one is a version of you, not imagined, not judged, simply remembered. And as you walk between them, something inside you loosens, not as if breaking, but as if something tight has finally exhaled, the kind of release that comes from being seen completely and not having to explain. The desert shifts as you continue. The horizon folds in on itself, reshaping the path without corners or warning. The ground feels thicker now, the air denser with memory. You begin to sense things before they arrive, not visions, exactly, but a rhythm of presence. You do not see the others at first, the other travelers like you, but you feel them, far off, some moving, some kneeling, some simply gone. There are no greetings, no waves, only the shared stillness of souls walking the same space, each on a road no one else can follow. And then, just as the silence grows heavy enough to feel sacred, you hear it water, not loud, not rushing, just there, steady as breath. You follow the sound until it becomes part of your footsteps. And soon, the path ends at a black, glassy shore. The water before you is still so still, it reflects nothing. Not the sky, not your face, not even the falcon-headed boat waiting quietly at its edge. The boat is not tethered. It simply waits. Its sides are smooth, dark, curved like a crescent moon lowered to brink. At its center, a single lamp burns no flame, just glow, like a thought that refuses to fade. Standing beside it is someone you know, but not from life, not from memory. It is a version of you, worn softer by time, shaped by understanding. They do not speak, they do not smile, they only look at you as if to say, yes, we've made it this far, together. You step closer, the boat rocks once, then settles, and then it speaks aloud, but inside you, in a voice made of your own breath and the echo of ancient hymns, say the names, not because you must, but because nothing will move forward until you do. You close your eyes and begin. You do not speak them as words. You do not mouth them like incantations. The names rise from somewhere beneath thought, from the place behind your ribs where silence has lived for lifetimes. They come not as declarations, but as memory itself, ancient and still pulsing. You do not even know how you know them, only that you have always known them, the way flame knows smoke. You whisper the first name, and the boat rocks gently, not forward, not yet. It's a recognition, a nod from the DUAT, a signal that the current has heard you. The name was not Ra, though he waits. It was a lesser name, a name forgotten by the surface world, but one that matters here, because in this place, every god has weight, even the quiet ones, especially them. You close your eyes, and the next name arrives like a breath drawn slowly into dusk. Nefertem, the lotus that rises from chaos. You feel your body respond, not with motion, but with warmth. Something opens in your chest, a softness, a pulse of blue. The boat shifts again. You speak Ma'at, and the lantern in the center glows brighter. The concept of balance curls through your spine like cool water, as if your bones themselves are being adjusted, aligned. You remember now not just who she is, but what she means, that the afterlife is not punishment or reward. It is symmetry. It is the return to a shape your soul was always meant to hold. Name by name, you offer them not in a line, not as a list, but like a liturgy being rebuilt from broken glass. Anubis, guardian of the thresholds. Thoth, who writes with moonlight and memory. Sekhmet, flame and fury in feline form. You do not fear her. Even destruction has a place in this balance. The boat accepts each one. The water, once still as shadow, begins to pull gently away from the shore. It does not splash. It does not churn. It simply yields, parting like thought, like silk. And now, at last, the DUAT begins to move. The boat glides without touch. There are no oars, no rudder, no sail. Only you, the glowing lantern, and the self who stands beside you, quiet, calm, no longer guiding, simply witnessing. The water is black, but not empty. Beneath it, shapes drift, not creatures, not spirits, not threats, just presence, watching, waiting, not for you, but for their own unfolding. The DUAT is wide enough for every soul, and still, somehow, it feels made just for yours. You pass beneath an arch of stone, so low you feel it hum above your scalp. Symbols spiral along its surface, none you can read, all of them somehow understood. Each loop, each slash, each curling bird and eye and reed feels like a thread in your chest being tugged gently toward coherence. And then, from the distance chanting, it does not begin. It has always been. You are only just now hearing it. The sound doesn't come from the shore. It comes from the water, from the sides of the boat, from within the lantern itself. 1,000 voices, none raised. They speak as one, but never in unison, like wind over reeds, like breath in a chamber. And the words, you understand them, not through translation, but through resonance. They are saying your name, not the name you were given in the living world, not the one carved on a birth scroll or whispered by your mother. A deeper name, one that carries the shape of your kindness, the rhythm of your grief, the taste of your first lie, the warmth of your first mercy. A name that is not sound, but pattern, not letters, but legacy. You listen, and your chest softens. You are not being summoned, you are being remembered. The farther the boat drifts, the more the DUAT reveals. Shapes rise along the banks, not temples, but impressions of them, like buildings drawn from incense. Their pillars shimmer, half there, their doorways flicker like flame. You do not stop, you do not need to. Those places are not yours, not today. You are headed toward the weighing. The moment is not here yet, but you feel it coming. Not like fear, not like doom, but like the first star rising after dusk, inevitable, quiet and clear. Your hands rest on your lap. Your breath is steady, though you do not breathe. The boat glides, the lantern hums. The name you will say, lest the one you have not remembered yet, waits like a stone in the riverbed, patient and unmoving. You will find it before the journey ends. Because in the afterlife, names are not spoken to be known. They are spoken to become real. The boat slows, not by friction or force, but by consent. The water yields to stillness again, cradling your vessel in silence. You do not need to look ahead to know what waits for you. You feel it before you see it, a vastness that has no shape, only presence. A gate, though it has no door, a hall, though no walls can hold it, a moment, held infinitely open. You step from the boat. The lantern dims, but does not vanish. It remains behind, flickering beside the other version of yourself, who does not follow. That part of you has done its work. It has named the path. It has named the gods. Now it is your turn to be silent. The ground beneath your bare feet is not stone. It is softer than sand, warmer than ash, and it remembers every soul that has stood where you now stand. You walk forward, and the hall opens around you, not like architecture, but like a thought being shared with you directly, without words. There is no ceiling, yet the air hangs heavy, thick with something more than incense. It feels like truth condensed, not spoken, but known. The hall of two truths. You do not need it explained. The knowledge is there, pressed gently against the inside of your skull, like a hand on your shoulder. Here is where the heart is weighed, not by scales of iron, but by the breath of the cosmos itself. This is where Ma'at leans in, not as judge, but as mirror. This is where the stories you told yourself are held up beside the stories you left behind in others. No one speaks, because this is not a court. It is a remembering. The space is vast, and yet every part of it turns toward you, as if the hall itself leans inward, listening for something sacred. You hear a flutter of wings, a slow exhale, a rustle that is not movement, but time adjusting its seat. Then the scale. It appears not from above or below, but from within your own gaze, as if your eyes have finally caught up with something that was always there. It is simple, perfect, balanced. One side is empty. The other already holds a single feather, impossibly delicate, impossibly still, the feather of Ma'at, the weight of truth without burden. And in your hands, now, without warning, is your own heart. You did not see it placed there. You did not feel anything being taken, but it rests in your palms now, not bloody, not grotesque, just warm, just steady, just real. And as you look at it, it begins to move, not beating, remembering, a pulse of light, a flicker of image. The time you spoke when silence would have been easier. The time you stayed when leaving would have hurt less. The time you turned your face away, and the smaller times you did not. Each moment glows softly across the surface, not played back, not judged, just held. This is not the heart of muscle and blood. This is the heart you lived with, and now it must be offered. You step forward. Your arms are steady. You do not tremble, because something in you knows, whatever the outcome, this is not the place for denial. The DUAT is not fooled by performance. The DUAT waits only for what is. You place the heart upon the scale. The silence tightens, not threatening, just expectant. You do not look to see if it rises or falls. You only breathe or remember how to. Your hands lower to your sides. You are ready, not because you are certain, but because there is nothing left to prepare. And then you feel her, Ma'at, not walking, not approaching, just appearing like breath across still water. Her presence does not weigh down the room, it balances it. Her feathers rustle, soft as thoughts. Her eyes do not judge. They see, not just through you, but around you. Your entire life is within her gaze, and it does not collapse. She leans near the scale. She does not touch it. She does not need to. The feather quivers, the heart stills, and in that perfect breathless moment, everything, every deed, every flaw, every moment of mercy becomes one soundless note. You feel it, not as punishment, not as reward, as truth. The scale settles, the air shifts, not with wind, but with recognition. No voice tells you the result. No God proclaims your worth. But the path ahead begins to glow. That is answer enough. The weighing is complete, but the journey is not. For beyond truth lies the deeper passage, not into paradise, not into shadow, but into the full knowing of what you have been and what remains. And so, with your heart returned not as burden, but as companion, you take your next step. The gate does not open, it simply ceases to be, because where you are going next, there are no more thresholds, only memory, becoming light. There is no door, no sudden step. The space ahead simply becomes, and you enter not with movement, but by allowing. It unfolds before you like something blooming not from seed, but from recognition, as if the landscape itself has been waiting for you to remember it into being. You have heard of this place before, in whispers, in scrolls, in the hopes of priests. They called it the Field of Reeds, the Seket Aru, a paradise, perhaps, a reward, perhaps. But standing here, you sense it as something else entirely, not a prize, but a reflection, not a heaven, but a question. What would you make of peace if you were given the shape of it? It is not grand, it is not glowing, it is familiar. The reeds stretch outward in every direction, taller than a man, soft and green, their tips rustling in a wind you do not feel. Between them lie quiet canals, so still they seem like mirrors laid gently between the earth's slow heartbeats. The light here is not gold, not silver, it is the color of time without hurry, and when you walk, the ground accepts you without sound. There are others here, you feel them before you see them, not souls wandering, not spirits floating, people, or rather, presences shaped like people harvesting, fishing, laughing softly beneath the breath of the sky. They do not look up, they do not wave, but there is no sense of coldness in that. Only the quiet satisfaction of being. You realize something, then they are not strangers. They are your memories, reassembled. That voice echoing across the water, it's the sound of someone who once called your name in the dark, back when you were small. That figure beneath the date tree, it's the smile of the one who forgave you, even when you couldn't say why you needed it. Every presence here carries a piece of your becoming. Not puppets, not dreams, not perfect, just whole. You walk slowly through them, not disturbing, only weaving, and they do not vanish as you pass. They stay because they were never waiting for you to see them. They simply are. You step beside a canal and sit, not because you are tired, but because this is the kind of place where stillness invites you like a friend. The water beside you does not reflect your face. It reflects your feelings. You see joy ripple in amber, regret float like dusk, gratitude glimmering like pale blue silk. The surface responds to your heart, not your image. For the first time, you wonder what it means to stay here. This field is gentle. It offers no challenge, no judgment, no demand. It gives you space, and you begin to realize how rare that has been in life, in longing, in love. Space to simply be without proving. You lie back in the grass. The stalks bend slightly beneath you, releasing a faint, earthy sweetness. The sun, if it is a sun, warms your face like a hand that remembers you. You feel a laugh catch in your chest, soft, surprised. This is not a dream. It is something more intimate, a remembering the world forgot to give you while you lived. You think of the heart you placed on the scale. You wonder if this is its reward. But no, the DUAT does not work in transaction. This place was never a gift for passing a test. It was always waiting inside you. The field of reeds is not the end. It is the echo of balance. And balance, like breath, must eventually move. A shadow crosses the reeds. It is not ominous. It is not dark. It is simply change. You rise quietly because you know something deeper waits beyond peace. Something older than reward. Something calling you still. The air has changed again. Subtly, not in temperature or texture, but in intention. The stillness of the field lingers behind you like a scent in your hair. But now, every breath feels drawn from deeper inside, as if something invisible has stepped closer. Not a threat, not a god. Something more elemental, like the idea of journey itself. Newly awake, you follow the shadow through the reeds, not with urgency, but with the curiosity of someone already halfway to remembering. The light dims as you walk, not into darkness, but into hue colors deepen, soften, blend. What was green becomes dusk-colored. What was gold becomes quiet plum. The shapes around you remain familiar, but the meanings shift. The canals narrow, the reeds part less willingly. You begin to hear footsteps that aren't yours. They do not threaten. They do not approach, but they keep rhythm beside your own, like memory pacing you gently. You do not turn. You do not need to. Whoever walks beside you is not here to be known by sight. The path tightens until it arrives at water again, but not the soft canals of the field. This is a vastness, an ocean stretched flat as breath, lit from beneath with a light that feels like distant singing. No waves, no shore on the far side, only water and a single shape resting on its back like a moon laid upon the tide. A boat, but not like the one before. That vessel was quiet, small, intimate. This one breathes. It is immense, carved from no wood known on earth. Its body gleams like obsidian caught in sunlight. Along its hull, symbols shimmer not written, but shifting, like language still deciding what to become. At the bow, the head of a great serpent curves upward, jaws closed, eyes soft, not threatening, simply eternal. This is not your boat. It is the solar barge, the ship that carries Ra across the heavens each night, the one that sails through the underworld while the world above dreams. And it is waiting. You do not walk aboard. You are invited, not with gesture or word, with feeling, as if the boat itself leans in to say, you are part of this now. Your feet touch the deck and you feel it breathe. Beneath the polished surface, a slow pulse hums the heartbeat of time, maybe, or something older. You do not know where to sit, but that's the thing. You are not here to ride. You are here to meet someone. He arrives without footsteps, without sound. From the back of the barge, past coiled ropes of light and shadows shaped like waiting animals, a figure steps forward. His skin gleams like bronze just before it cools. His robes are cut from midnight and starlight, stitched together with something that feels like gravity. His eyes are jackal eyes. His mouth neither smiles nor frowns. He is not cruel. He is not kind. He is Wepwilwet, the opener of the ways. Not the judge, not the scribe, not the keeper of hearts. He is the one who walks ahead, the scout of the soul. He stands beside you, and suddenly, all the distances inside yourself grow quiet. You want to ask a question, perhaps where are we going, or what is next, but the words dissolve before they form. He does not speak, but something in you begins to remember that every god in Egypt was never just a being, but a function, a force, a process. And this one, this guide, is not here to explain. He is here to make sure you don't turn back. Together, you face the horizon. It is not clear. It ripples. It changes shape. Sometimes it is fire, sometimes mist. Sometimes it looks like the face of someone you once loved and never told. Webwawit places a hand not on your shoulder, but near your shadow, and the ship begins to move. There is no wind. The water does not part. It simply allows. The night sky above begins to move in reverse, stars pouring like a river over the canopy of the world. The boat does not steer. It drifts with purpose. Beneath the surface, great coils rise and fall, not sea creatures, not threats, perhaps thoughts the gods have not yet spoken. You do not ask where you are going. You already feel the answer. Not forward, not upward, inward. The horizon is not a line. It is a mirror, and beyond it lies the part of you that even your soul has not dared to name. Webwawit says nothing, but somehow you are certain. The next gate does not open with words, only with surrender. The boat does not warn you. It simply slows, not with resistance, but reverence, as though the space ahead is not distance, but something far older. The water flattens. The air deepens. You are no longer sailing forward. You are sailing inward, toward the part of the journey that does not announce itself with thunder, but with memory. There is no shoreline, no sky, just horizon that trembles like breath held too long. And then, without shape, without sound, something unfolds. He does not arrive. He was always here. A pep, not as a creature, not as a villain, not as the shadow of a god, but as the oldest question you ever refused to ask. He is not hate. He is not wrath. He is the curve of every doubt you whispered in the dark when no one was listening. He is vast and quiet and cold, but not in the way of winter, in the way of silence that no longer feels holy. You do not see teeth. You do not need to. His presence presses against your ribs like a thought you never dared finish. He waits, not to strike, but to be recognized, and something in you does. You remember the moments he lived in you not as an enemy, but as hesitation. The words you didn't speak when your voice mattered, the paths you turned from because they asked too much of your truth, the love you dimmed to avoid being seen. You thought you buried him, but you carried him. Still, you are not here to fight. The gods do not need warriors. They need witnesses. And you quiet, steady, breathing, do not flinch. You stand in the boat, feet firm, heart open, and look directly into what once ruled you. He does not vanish. He shifts, not away, within. You do not destroy Apep. You let him leave, because the part of you that once fed him has grown still. You have seen yourself clearly, and that is the one thing he cannot survive. The barge lifts again, gentle, almost weightless, as though released from a burden you didn't realize you were bearing. And as the darkness recedes, the water begins to shimmer again, not with light, but with possibility. You have crossed the darkness, not because it opened for you, but because you kept walking even when it didn't. Now, the water shifts again, not in sound, not in sight, but in feeling, like something inside it has exhaled. The barge no longer rides the current, it is the current. And you, weightless in the stillness, drift into a place that does not welcome. It waits. You step down, though there are no stairs. You arrive, though there is no door. The air is not cold, it is listening. And before you, there is not a room, not a hall, not a throne, but presence. It gathers like smoke that forgets to rise, like memory before it chooses a shape. You are not alone, but nothing announces itself. No voice speaks, no form forms. Still, you know, they are here, not watching you, receiving you, not measuring you, remembering you. The gods do not appear in glory. They do not descend in light. They do not need to. You are not here to witness their power. You are here because they already witnessed yours. When you wept without sound, when you chose mercy no one saw, when you carried a grief too quiet for words and still moved forward anyway. They felt it then, and now they bow toward it, not as judges, as kin. You feel them leaning closer, not with weight, but with warmth. One holds your silence in the space between their hands. Another rappers your name in a softness deeper than sound. Another brushes your memory like wind touches wheat, slow, reverent, never asking to be thanked. They do not speak. They do not need to, because the only thing left to say is yours. And slowly, without urgency, you let yourself be known, not in confession, in wholeness. You do not explain. You do not plead. You do not justify what you did to survive. You simply stand, with nothing hidden, with everything trembling, and the trembling is holy. It is the sound of recognition, the gods seeing their own story written into your living. You have not come to be rewarded. You have come to be remembered. And when the last veil of resistance falls from your shoulders, something around you shifts, not the gods, not the space, but the very idea of separation. You are not facing them. You are not beneath them. You are not even among them. You are with them, and they are with you. You close your eyes, not in surrender, in arrival, because what waits ahead is not another trial. It is the return. You do not turn to leave. There is no gate behind you, no farewell waiting in shadow. The space around you loosens, like cloth slipping from tired shoulders. The barge is simply there, as if it never left, as if it was always part of the silence now gathered around your name. You step into it, not with urgency, not with resistance, just a movement like breath toward what waits. The river is quieter now. No currents, no pull, just stillness deep enough to cradle you back to what once felt like life. The oar moves without touch. The stars above no longer speak. They listen, as if your journey has taught them something. And below not water, not time, but memory, gently folded and luminous, reflecting pieces of you you hadn't yet forgiven. You do not weep. The tears were spent long before this. All that remains now is clarity, not the sharp kind, but the soft one, like knowing without needing proof, like holding your own heart without judgment. You feel the return long before the boat reaches any shore. Your breath thickens, the bones remember gravity, the warmth of flesh, the edges of form. The old weight of skin begins to rest gently around your spirit, like familiar robes laid over a quieter self. You open your eyes, or perhaps your eyes open you, and around you nothing has changed. The room is the same, the stillness of night, the hush of modern silence. But something inside you no longer waits for permission to belong. You have stepped through the afterlife, not to escape death, but to understand like the kind that continues after forgiveness, after resistance, after naming every part of yourself and choosing to carry it anyway. You lie still, not from exhaustion, but from reverence, because now you know the journey never ends. It only deepens. You are still here, not in a chamber of judgment, not in a story of gods, but in your own quiet breath, filling the room like incense, no longer burning. The afterlife you traveled was not somewhere far. It was always beneath the surface of your own becoming. You crossed rivers not to escape, but to remember. You faced the serpent not to defeat it, but to name what still lingered inside. You stood before the presence of eternity, and instead of asking for mercy, you received recognition. There is no reward for that, only rest. Let it find you now. Let your hands release the shapes they no longer need to hold. Let your breath soften into something you don't have to control. Let your body lie gently where it is warm, steady, enough. You are not waiting for morning. You are not chasing peace. You are in it. It hums in the space behind your ribs. It lingers in the corner of the room, like someone who came to keep you company without needing to be seen. And when you close your eyes again, it will not be to leave. It will be to return to the deepest chamber of yourself, the place the gods once leaned toward and whispered, "You are already whole." So sleep now, not to forget, but to remember more gently. And if you dream, let it be soft. Let it come like warm stone beneath bare feet, or a slow wind curling across golden fields, or the sound of a voice you loved long ago saying only, "Yes, yes, you made it." Please take a moment to let this calm stay with you. And if this journey helped you rest, helped you feel seen even just a little, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more stories that walk beside your breath. Thank you for being here.